Hey there, YouTubers. Just wanted to share with you some problems I've been having with the lift system on my 1993 Starcraft meteorite pop-up camper. I'll just quickly explain what was happening is when I would crank the cover up, it felt like it was going to unwind by itself as soon as I let go of the handle. And then when I would try to let go carefully so it would stay up, and then when I went to crank it down, it would feel like the locking arm is having to jump all the gears. And actually that's exactly what has been happening. My plan here is to take everything apart, and what the problem is, there's two friction pads, one on either side of the gear, at this gear, and this is the locking gear. I don't know if you can see this, but my locking pawl is actually not even centered, so this friction pad probably wore out so much that it is pushing over. Now the locking gear isn't even resting really on there. And also, part of the problem is this is now fused, the brake pad is now fused with this main gear here, and that is also the second problem we're having. So my plan is to clean it up with some goo-gone and probably the PP penetrating catalyst, and then at the end I would use some white lithium grease just to grease everything. So I need to set the camera up and I'll show you how this thing works so you can get an understanding of what I'm dealing with, and maybe you have the same thing. Alright, so we're going to wind it up like normal, and you see that it seems to work like it should. There's a lot less weight on here than the camper top, but if I was cranking up the camper top, it would want to spin back on its own on me, at least for a cog or two, right? So now I'll show what happens when I try to unwind it. And this should mimic the same thing that happens when it's actually on the camper. So that's how I had to wind the camper down before, after this started. That pawl, the locking pin, had to keep jumping the gear cogs. So that's what I'm dealing with. I'm going to try to clean it up, and we'll see if it helps. Hey YouTubers, here's what I got. I took the whole winch apart, except for this shaft. I can't get this gear off. I think it might be threaded, so I don't know if it can unscrew off. I did see one person online, they had to use some clamps, and they thought it was supposed to be threaded, the gear that is, and it wasn't. I don't have a vise, so I'm going to try to clamp it down on both sides somehow, like maybe on some wood, and then use the shaft to try and turn it with a wrench. So we're going to see how that goes. Well guys, I got that bitch. Had to rig up some weird contraption. So first of all, I screw down the gear. Well, first there's a hole drilled through the 2x4, and then I put some wood screws in four spots on the gear so it would keep it from rotating, right? Had to use crescent wrench, excuse me, with a cheater bar, and then I just had to stick it in the ground, and then I stepped on it and then had to crank away. Now, and it finally broke loose. So I think it's reverse threads, yeah. So that's what I did, guys. If you have the same problems, hopefully this helped out. Alright guys, I have the main gear back on here, and I greased it up, and I actually wanted to show everybody how it works because I was confused until I got these two gears apart. So let's say you start out, the camper's down, and you start cranking it up. Now cranking it up, now it's reverse threads, and it's going this way to crank it up. This is spinning by itself, and then it gets tight against the friction pads. Now it's cranking up, and that's when you hear the clicking like normal. And the lock arm here is keeping from the camper from sliding down. Now say it gets to the top, and you start unwinding it. Now it's moving freely again until it gets stopped on this end, and now the shaft spins, but the lock arm gear does not. So that's how this thing is supposed to work. Thank you. I should also mention that I decided to take one of these gears out from here, and that was because my lock pawl arm was a little bit off center, like actually a lot off center, and that's what allowed me to crank the camper down actually, because the lock arm could skip each cog. So I just thought I should mention that in case anyone else runs into the same problems. Alright everybody, got this thing back together. Now we're just about ready to put it back into the camper. See if this baby works. Alright.